And welcome to another episode of Stuck in My Mind podcast. I am your host, Wize. My guest today is a storyteller in every sense of the word. He is a best-selling and award-winning author with more than 50 books spanning multiple genres, including the acclaimed Dissonance, The End, and the Talisman sagas. Several of his work have been adapted for film, earning recognition at multiple film festivals, while one is currently being pitched to major streaming platforms. He's a professional voice actor, an audiobook narrator who has spent years bringing stories to life through the spoken word. Today, we're talking about storytelling, creativity, self-publishing, and adapting in the age of AI, and how creators can continue to thrive when industries are rapidly changing. Please welcome to the show, Aaron Ryan.
Hello, hello. Nice to meet you.
Oh man, the pleasure's mine, man. I'm excited. When you first sent the message on Podmatch and I was reading your profile and everything, it's you, like a lot of the stuff you're doing I'm interested in because I started a publishing company. We've published a few books now, so I was interested. I was really interested in being able to meet you and speak to you. So what were you
Yeah.
okay? So were you a storyteller growing up?
Yeah. I've always loved stories. I'm more cinematically inspired than I am literarily. So I love watching stories, more than anything else. We're not talking soaps, but, watching my stories. But I just love watching a story brought to life. But there's something really super uber captivating about reading a story and seeing it come to life in your mind as you travel down those paragraphs. Um, I was in a young authors club when I was 10. I remember reading The Lord of the Rings when I was, roughly the same age, just blew my mind. And I wrote my first little novella at age 8 or age 7, second grade, with an assignment given by Mrs. Walker. Hi, Mrs. Walker. And all of us had to write these, little novellas. And I remember holding it in my hands, like going, wow, I made this, and showing people the cover. Look what I made. So not surprised that I turned out to be an author.
Okay, so was it that moment you realized like you might actually be good at this even at that tender age?
Yeah, absolutely.
So how did you go from writing as a passion to becoming a published author?
Well, it's several steps, and it's two steps forward, one step back, or one step forward, five steps back, or whatever. I wrote and published an autobiography, I think in the late '80s, early '90s, and I've just kind of realized as I was going through it, what am I doing? I'm not, I'm not even an adult yet. And it was kind of like, I don't even have a story to tell. A little bit of a mini story of what our family had gone through with my mom and dad's divorce, and their life and me growing up. But it wasn't really that interesting, so I did publish it and I deleted it. Published it on like Lulu or Smart Press or something like that. As a voice actor, though, I had written and published 6 books as a compilation of satire, business guide, inspiration, and then I published another one, in the '90s, or rather wrote it and never actually published it, and I deleted it. And I still to this day wish that I had not done that. It didn't represent the direction that I wanted to go with my life at the time. So, but it's several steps of just kind of discovering and a journey of adventure and figuring out, is this what I want to do? But my life has taken a lot of different creative pursuits. I finally returned back to authoring, though, recently.
Mm. So what challenges you face early in your creative journey?
Well, in the creative journey, it's gosh, I guess the stuff that I just described. It's you have to figure out as a kid. You have to figure out what's most compelling to you. What direction do you actually want to go in? And as a creative, I know that I have to create. It doesn't matter kind of sometimes what it is. If I don't create, I'll probably self-destruct. So I have to create art. I have to create music. I have to create stories. I have to create poetry, crafts, with my hands, not as much anymore. My son does that, and it's insane what he can do. But I just absolutely love the art and the prospect, and the process of creation. It mirrors the creator, and what a huge gift that is. So I love, particularly though, out of all of those, I just love telling a story and writing a story and seeing it come to life. It's so beautiful.
So when did you realize some storytelling wasn't just something you loved, right? But something you were called to do? Like for me, when I
Yeah,
podcasting, when I it was something like I knew that this was something I was meant to do. Like once I had been looking for my purpose for a long time, but and then being able to find my voice and being able to create the podcast, that like opened up so much for me. So how
yeah.
was your experience?
Discovering your calling is underrated, man. If you can find your calling and just know with all certainty that that is what it's supposed to be, it's such a remarkable feeling.
Mhm.
I was writing the Dissonance Saga, which is a 6 book saga, and I wrote volume one. As I'm going through volume one, I realized, wow, there's a much larger story here. So it's going to be a much more robust novel, and that proved to be true and prescient. So I turned it into a trilogy, and then it demanded 2 prequels and a sequel. So before I knew it, I had a hexalogy on my hands. But at the end of that, I just remember I literally felt like God was calling me to write clean Christian fiction after writing Dissonance. There's a little bit of marginal profanity in Dissonance. I wanted it to have verisimilitude and be believable, but I felt convicted by that big time. So, and you'll read that in the afterword of Dissonance Volume One. But I literally felt God calling me to write the end, which is this Christian dystopian saga behind me. For those joining us visually, and You Are My Whole Earth, A Daddy's Love for His Sons is right here. That's a book I was called to write for my kiddos. But I think I could successfully say, going back to even before I delved back into authoring, the voiceover career has taken some great hits over the years due to AI, the SAG after a strike, the economy, lowballing clients. There's a list. And I was like, God, what do I do? What am I supposed to do to actually bring in food for my family and put food on the table? And without a doubt, it was I am a creator. I felt like right then and there, God was saying, "You're a creator. I want you to write. I want you to tell stories. I want you to create." So this is going back to about 2023, and that's when I dove back into authoring full time.
Awesome. So what did rejection teach you as an author?
Wow, we face rejection all day, every day. I mean, it's 25 hours a day. Um, yeah, it's a bad review. So I just got one, last week, and they kind of throw the baby out with the bathwater. Some people they get hung up on one particular facet of the book that they decide not to like, and so the book gets 1 star. And we're very fickle as a human race. It's either 5 or 1 stars largely. So we love it or hate it. Not we're not bent or wired for like the middle ground, I guess.
Yeah.
It does hurt. It stings for a little bit, but I think there were nuggets in that review. There was one thing they latched onto. It was like, wow, I couldn't believe that error was still in the book, so I went and fixed it,
Mhm.
and republished. Right after that. Someone not buying the book or not liking a book, any of them forces me to reevaluate my approach and decide what I can do better the next time around. What steps I need to take in order to refocus, harness this gift even more, perfect it, and all of that. And also taking a break. It's taught me to take a break and just breathe for a while, because this is a slog. It's a worthy one, but it is a slog, and you have to be sane in order to weather it and make it all the way to the end.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. You've written over 50 books. How do you stay creative?
That's a great question. I don't know. No, I'm kidding. Uh, I get an idea, and largely the ideas for my books. This is where I'm a bit of an anomaly, and I'm totally okay with it. Uh, I'll get an idea for a cover for a book, right? That's the first thing I'll see, and I work backwards in that capacity, because most people they'll get a great idea for a book and they'll write the book, and okay, now let's work on a cover. I may get a snippet of an idea for a book, but I'll usually get a cover idea. And if that is compelling or alluring enough, it really motivates me to write a book that matches its intensity. It also gives me a forward axis to work. It's right here. I can see the cover, and I get to work my way towards that cover, and see it always before me that way. It's very helpful. But yeah, I mean, some books are more creative than others. Some books require an extra dose of creativity because I can get locked in writer's block like the next guy.
Yeah.
And you have to push through. Oftentimes when I'm stuck in writer's block, which is rare, but I do get there, I'll take a nonfiction detour off that fiction highway and write a nonfiction book. That reminds me my fingers still work, my brain still works, my heart still works. And then I get back on the fiction highway later.
Hmm. What separates successful authors from people who only talk about writing a book?
I think it's intention, it's planning, it's long-term thinking. It's, you can dream. I can dream. I dream like the best of them. And I dream about being an author who also does voiceovers. Right now, I'm a voice actor who also does authoring. That's what brings in the bread. Um, but I think that a person who is deciding no longer to be a hobbyist, but to make this their livelihood, or to say, have a bucket list and be willing to work towards crossing this off your bucket list. Intentionality is huge. Hustle is huge. Finding a way to take this dream and getting it out of you and putting it out here, it takes a few steps that you have to be very methodical and intentional about. And so I think there's 1% of 1% of 1% actually end up writing a book. So yeah, you have to decide to do it, and then Nike, just do it.
Yeah, absolutely. What are the biggest misconceptions about self-publishing?
Well, one of the things, it's actually a reverse misconception. People think, I don't want to self publish because I'll have to do marketing. You would have to do marketing if you were traditionally published as well. And you would want to do marketing. I've got a smattering of books behind me, and I want everyone to know about every one of them. I want to market my books. I want to be enthusiastic about my books so that people find my books and read my stories and fall as much in love with them as I did. It's really, it's not it's a misconception that you'll have to do all this marketing because, gosh, you love your kids, right? If you love your kids, you're going to tell people about them. These books are my kids, and I want to tell people about them. People think you're going to have to churn out all these books all the time, and that's not true. You can work at your own pace. People think you're not going to get paid much for each book. That's not true. You command your own royalties.
Yeah.
People think you lose all your rights, and give them up to Amazon or whatever. That's not true. You retain all creative rights and creative control over your
Yes.
books rather. And the list goes on. But I think one of the biggest things is just that reverse misconception that I'll have to do all this marketing. No, you get to do all this marketing. This is your creation. You'll want to share it with people.
Absolutely. Yeah. And like you said, with traditional house, you get to actually with your self publishing, like because I do KDP and so you own all your stuff. You go and you copyright all your stuff. Like, so I don't know where people get that idea that Amazon owns your stuff. No.
I don't know. I mean, the rumor mill abounds, right? And you got all these forums and communities online where everyone's an expert. Everyone knows. No, it's this way. I assure you, it's this way. And they're really not. It's all just kind of learned experience, but perception equals reality for most people. So
Absolutely, yeah. So how has the publishing industry changed over the last decade?
well, with the advent of self-publishing and print on demand, it's really rocked the house. Just like AI has rocked the house of creative industries, it's just things evolve. We're no longer using wagon wheels and steam engines. We are still, but it evolves. So you can do it right now with zero money up front. It could cost you nothing, just like AI, created works can do. And KDP now, Kindle Direct Publishing sees roughly 7,500 books published a day, every single day. So it's scary. It has evolved, and it makes the competition fierce. I'm not even going to try to do the math on how many books that is a year, but it makes everyone able to do it out of their attic. So you really have to find a way to write a compelling book, to commit to marketing it and sharing it with people, to commit to giving your absolute best, bringing a unique voice to the marketplace, which is so important. Oscar Wilde said, be yourself, everyone else is already taken. It's such a great phrase. And so you don't. The world doesn't need another Stephen King, Michael Crichton, John Grisham, Marie Lu, Suzanne Collins, J.R.R. Tolkien. Be yourself. Bring a unique voice to the marketplace, and the chips will fall where they may.
Absolutely. Yes, I agree with that. But what does it feel like seeing your stories like some of your work has been adapted for film, right? What was that experience like, and what does it feel like seeing your stories come alive on screen?
Well, I haven't seen them come alive on screen yet. They've been adapted, which means they're in
Oh,
screenplay form. And so their Dissonance is actively being pitched to streaming networks, which is wonderful. It's an alien invasion 6-book saga and very grounded in reality. In fact, the story, the first one I wrote in 2023, I set the invasion happening June 6th, 2026. So it just
mm,
happened, a week and 2 days ago, the invasion. Um, and the attacks, actually, they wait up there for 90 days and they attack September 3rd. So we have some time. Nobody run for the hills yet. But man, it'd be huge. It'd be huge. And I'd be like, every indie author's dream is to see their books up on the screen. I
yeah,
can't wait to see something happen with Dissonance. I can't wait to see something happen with The End Alpha, which has been adapted, Forecast, which has been adapted, The Slide, The Phoenix Experiment have been adapted for the screen. They're out there in film festivals and they can attract attention, and hopefully, people will get excited about them.
well, hopefully, absolutely. Hopefully, they all get to see the big screen one day.
Yeah.
So what?
Knock on wood.
So you mentioned it before. AI is dramatically changing the creative industry. How has it impacted your voiceover career?
Oh, largely, tangibly, um, financially. So yeah, it's been crazy. So always been the usual suspects in voiceovers as far as chipping away at the bottom line. You have lowballing clients, you have underbidding colleagues, you have the economy, you have COVID, which affected things, and then in 2023, it just kind of like the barn doors blew open. There was the SAG-AFTRA strike. There was the foray into the market of OpenAI, ChatGPT,
Yeah,
and that has really rocked the industry, even though the prognosticators at large said it wouldn't. It has. Software like 11 Labs, Respeecher, Speechalo, SpeechOcean, all these guys that can synthetically generate a voice through a few prompts or a typed up script. I have seen our income slashed in half. I have seen beloved clients and longtime partnerships just evaporate because either the producer themselves has been replaced by AI. Their studio is now using Seedance, for example, or that producer that I worked with has been instructed to no longer use human voice talent, right?
yeah,
So I don't get to work with that producer anymore. So it's frustrating. I am the voice of United Healthcare. To my knowledge, still, I just had another season with them, recording their commercials and scripts, and that's been a boon for our home. It's provided insurance for us as well, qualified us for insurance. So man, I mean, but for United Healthcare, I don't know where we'd be. But it's really harmed the industry. And I think just even beyond the industry, it's dumbed down society. It has created a lot of misinformation and hysteria. It's trampled on the rights of intellectual property. It has infringed on copyright. It's spread all kinds of fear and panic. And it's just, man, it's a wild west out there that is unregulated and scary.
yeah, yeah. Definitely, it's something. And for me, yes, I do. I use some of it. Yes, I use some of it to help me more for scheduling purposes and like keeping everything I do organized and helping me in that order. But uh, as far as creatively, I have a podcast that I host, so I have the questions that I get that I create, but it's I don't really. There's nothing else that I really use it for, like besides I said helping me organize my files and stuff.
Yeah, and see, I don't have a problem with that. There's two different forms of AI. There's assistive and then there's generative.
Yeah,
So assistive AI, I've used assistive AI for like idea development, organization, paraphrasing, whatever like that. But there are people who use generative AI, and that's simply firing off a few prompts. And for the authoring industry, it's not immune to this at all. People go to Chat GPT or Claude or whoever, and give it a few prompts. It says, give me a story about blah, blah, blah. They copy, they paste, they go to Mid-Journey. They say, or I think Grok even does this. Give me a cool cover. It gives them the cover. They slap that on there, and then they throw it up on Kindle, and they call themselves an author. And they didn't author a single thing about that. They're a fraud. They're a Claude fraud. And so all they're doing is they're watering down the quality of the offerings in the authoring sphere. They're making themselves look like a laughing stock. And those books don't sell. I mean, a lot of times the prompts are still in the book, and people will read that and go, "Oh my gosh!" A well-known author was dropped by a publisher. I forget who it was, because she used AI to write her book, and she left a prompt in there, and it was like, "Oh my goodness, man! I don't know how you could miss something like that."
Yeah. How do you not realize the prompt you use is on? Yeah, no, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Um, what advice would you give someone who wants to write their first book?
Well, again, find your voice, find your unique voice, because that is so important. Is just being uniquely you. There's another phrase that says something like, "You're the youest you that you can be," or something like that. It's a great phrase, and you have to find something that is different from all the other voices out there as much as possible. Make yourself distinct. Figure out if you want to be a pantser or a planner. There's two different styles of writing historically. One is a planner. They dot their I's, they cross their T's, their bullet lists, their index cards and flowcharts, and those guys have everything mapped out. And then there's pantsers. They're very organic style of writing. They fly by the seat of their
Right.
pants,
Okay.
and they're on the way to the wedding, and they get a flat tire. It just stuff like that happens. That's life. So find out if you want to be a planner or a pantser. And find out what you want to write about. Write something that isn't going to come easy, that'll be challenging for you, but that is unique, is a great story, and that you feel like you can really bring it to life. Don't try to copy someone else.
So, so how can a creator stand out in a world flooded with content? Like, like, how does someone find their uniqueness? I know it's a hard question, but what can someone do to stand out?
That's a great question, and it is a hard question. One of the things I do, I mean, my signature style is bookending. So every chapter in every one of my fiction books usually starts and ends with a similar sentence. So, for example, in Dissonance Volume Zero, Revelation, there's a chapter that starts with, "We will never forget that day, the day they came," and he's referencing the Gorgons, the aliens. The last chapter, he's having some struggles with his young son. And the last line in that chapter says, "We will never forget that day, the day we came together." So the first sentence is, "We'll never forget that day, the day they came. We'll never forget that day, the day we came together." And it's a play off of each other. I like the book ending because it just kind of encapsulates each chapter. And that's me. That's a signature style of my own. Um, J.R.R. Tolkien, man, he wrote the quintessential work of fantasy fiction with The Lord of the Rings, incorporating incredible language and prose and character development and high stakes world building like nobody else has ever done. Um, that's how you establish your world, and that's how you establish what you're writing about. But the style and the content are two different things. And whatever you can do to differentiate yourself, whether it's how you write, whether it's the names that you create, whether it's the abilities that the people have, whether it's the character development that you give it's going to differentiate you from the herd. You have to find that out very early on, as much as you can.
Okay, all right. What marketing strategies have worked best for your books?
Well, I love vendor markets. Quite frankly, craft fairs. I don't do book fairs. I'm not unique in the slightest at a book fair. I don't stand out at all, and goes harkens back to the uniqueness aspect of it. In a book fair, we're all authors clamoring for the attention of the readers.
Yeah.
So I'm not unique in any way. At a vendor market, you've got a blown glass artisan, T-shirt maker, photographer, bead maker, ceramics, stained glass, author. It's like, oh wow, you're an author. It's just, I'm instantly unique in such an environment, and I've always sold pretty well. Sometimes I've sold out. And it's a great feeling to get out there as an author and meet readers and share with them in person. You are the author of these books.
Yeah.
It's great for them to meet the author and for you to meet your readers. And I develop a fan base that way. I love, this book, this shirt rather. I don't know if you can read it, but I wear shirts like this that are conversation starters that talk about me being an author. And I'm out there in the grocery store. People read my shirt. One of them says, I'm a writer. Annoy me and you'll die in my next novel. Another shirt says, being a writer is the best way I know how to get paid for being completely insane. They're conversation starters. I've got vinyl lettering on the back window of my van for the same purpose, so that we can start a conversation with people and they can find out who I am. Why wouldn't you tell people?
Absolutely. What project? I think I know the answer to this one, because you're talking about it so much. It's the Destinies project. So I'm sure that's one of the most exciting projects for you right now.
Well, yeah, Dissonance is all done. I've completed it in 2024. It is my quintessential work. I mean, it's certainly my bulkiest, and I think it represents the best of my writing, next to or just under the end. The End is a Christian dystopian saga I wrote that just turned out so full of redemption and heart, and it's incredible. It is really a weighty, it's a weighty series that's very robust. But Dissonance, I put so much research into that whole saga, militarily, terrain, landmarks, history, and it's so accurate militarily because I got such great advice from military people. I think one of my favorites, though, of all time is The Phoenix Experiment. It's a young adult dystopian novel that, for the very first time ever, I wrote first person present tense. So instead of I walked through the door, it's I walk through the door. Instead of I saw them, I see them. I said, I say, and it incorporates some beautiful poetry in there, and there's some Easter eggs and stuff. It just turned out really, really well. So I have a hard time deciding which is the best one.
Oh. Well, they all have a part of you, so I would think all of them.
Yeah.
Where do you see publishing and storytelling heading over the next decade?
Where do I see them heading? Well, it's just going to get easier and easier once the hurdles continue to clear, for self-publishing and the online marketplaces and avenues like Kindle Direct Publishing or Ingram Spark or Barnes and Noble Press or Draft2 Digital or any of those just get, easier and easier and easier to use. It'll be easier and easier and easier for people to self-publish. However, you can't not mistake or discard the influence of AI on all of this, because people are now writing an entire book in an afternoon. And of course, they're not writing it at all. And they are putting it out there, and it's causing a commotion in the marketplace. It's causing confusion as to what is real and what isn't, what is human generated and what isn't. So we'll have to contend with that. And hopefully it has the net cumulative effect of making authors more refined, of us putting more into our work and just trying to get better so that we, one up AI every time.
Yeah, absolutely. What keeps you motivated after writing more than 50 books? Like how do they continue to come?
Coffee. I mean, it's got to be coffee, really.
Coffee.
Yeah, got to have the coffee. It's like the morning crack. It's funny because I'm just now starting to write. Today, I got to page 52 on a new novel that is a modern day take on Jekyll and Hyde, and it's been hard for me to get into that because I've been really promoting the previous novels, and I've been working on the audiobook with a female narrator because it's a female protagonist. I've been editing that, and I'm a voice actor as well. So I've been trying to balance the writing with the voiceovers and record plenty of auditions and jobs lately. And keep it that. So, but I always want to write. And here's a really cool point that I think I need to underscore. If you want to write, you have to put it on your calendar. You have to put a big block on your calendar that says write, that is unmistakable. Because otherwise you just, oh, I know I need to write. But if you've got something on your goals list, on your checkoff list every single day, I don't know what it is, but psychologically it is unavoidable. It's inevitable that you will write that day because you're going to want to tackle that little calendar appointment or
Yep.
reminder list.
Yep. That's why I put reminders. So yeah. So what legacy do you hope your stories leave behind?
Um, that he just loved to create, that he had such a great imagination, and provided us such great measures of escapism. That's what stories should do. They should whisk you off somewhere into escapism. But the greatest story that I'm writing will never be published. It is an active living document that is a daily journal for my boys, that I'm going to give to them when they are, 18 or 21. And it's something that is, it's incredibly precious and incredibly private. It's a journal of every single day of their lives. It's my oldest son was, I think 2 months old, 3 months old, something like that. And it is something that I'm super, super, super proud of. But it's our memories together, our lives lived together, the things we've learned, the things that, milestones that they've reached. And I want them to know how center of mind they were and are. I want them to know how precious and important they are to me. So I've kept a journal for them virtually every single day of their lives, both of them. That's going to be a huge stack of our story, our ongoing story. And I'll never publish that. It's too sacred.
Wow,
Sorry, to answer your question, it's the legacy. It's the legacy aspect of that I
is
can't
great. No,
can't
listen, that
wait.
was great because that was amazing to even just hear that this is a story that is just for you guys. That's it. Like
Yeah,
this is for, and that's something like they should be really proud of. Like, hey, my dad wrote this story just for us. Like, so yeah, that's awesome,
yeah.
man. That sounds great. So if someone listening has a story inside them, but fear keeps stopping them from sharing it, what would you tell them?
Um, man, I'm such a big believer in Nike's motto, which is
Just
just
do
do
it.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta. There's far too many people in this day and age that are just gonna sit by the stream and they're gonna, I can't I don't dare put my foot in that stream. And you got to try the stream. You're not going to get carried downstream. You're not going to drown, but you have to get your feet in the water and test it out and see how it feels. Otherwise, the fear magnifies things. So it's a huge roaring river until you get into it. It's a huge, scary phenomenon, a specter, until you actually decide to just kind of wade in a little bit and go, oh, this isn't so bad. Try it and see. Be willing to try. It takes courage. I get it, but you have a unique voice to bring as an author. Everyone does. Find yours. Try it.
Awesome, man. This has been great. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for being such a wonderful guest.
Thanks for
Now,
having me.
now we've come to the part of the show where you get to spotlight it and you get to plug away and let everybody know where they can find you, they can get the books, everything.
Thank you. Wow, I just magnified. I don't know if that was an accident or a purpose, but I'm huge. Um, yeah, thank you so much. If you're a reader, please feel free and check out my website. It's authoraaronryan.com. You can go there and find all these and more. Authoraaronryan.com is the website that has the links to all the other sites and the socials. I'm everywhere at author Aaron Ryan is my social handle. And then you can also join authoraaronryangroup.com, which is a Facebook group. It's devoted to authors or creators who are growing and need tips and encouragement. You can find news on my screenplays. You can find discount codes and giveaways and things like that, upcoming appearances. And it's a great group. There's no scammers or spammers allowed. I'm very careful with who gets admitted. So authoraaronryan.com will take you to the books and a little bit about me. AuthorAaronRyanGroup.com takes you to a place where you can learn and grow and find some good coupon codes.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being a guest. Don't leave just yet. Let me close out the show and we'll chat a little bit off the air. But thank you so much, man. This has really been great. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
The pleasure's mine. All right, everybody. Another great episode is in the books. If you'd like to learn more about Ryan, check out his books, audiobooks, and upcoming projects. Whether you're a writer, reader, or creative entrepreneur, there's something in his work that will inspire you to tell your own story. So go to his website, author Aaron Ryan. What is it again? You say it, Aaron?
Yeah, AuthorAaronRyan.com.
There you go. Check it out. Tune it. Thank you for tuning in, and I appreciate everybody for the support. You know how your boy Wize does it. Peace out.